holding it together until taps. Doing well. See how it goes. All right, before I get started, I was asked to make sure I announce that there's a luncheon after this, Firefighters Hall, 8517 Urbana. So if anyone wants to join for a luncheon afterwards, Firefighters Hall, 8517 Urbana. That's the last thing I'm going to get through without my voice cracking. So, congratulations. All right, morning, everyone. I was going to say good morning, but this is awful, and I am prioritizing accuracy over courtesy. I've never tried to offer a comedic perspective with snot in my nose and tears running down my face, but this seems like as good a time as any. This speech was based on Dustin's approach to life. Maybe not what you want or expect, but hopefully what you need. Also, the views expressed in this eulogy are my own and do not represent the views of the United States Army, as you will quickly learn. Just west of Conroe, there's an amazing Italian sandwich shop called Tony's. Dustin and I stopped on the way back and enjoyed a wonderful lunch. I got a pesci. I think Dustin got a Gandolfini. We started driving home. After 10 minutes of silence, he casually looked over to me and he said, "Man, that was a good fucking sandwich." And then every half hour until we returned to Salado, he'd just look over, completely out of context. "You know, it's a good fucking sandwich." And since then, anytime Connie and I tremendously enjoy something, we just look at each other and say, "Man, that was a good fucking hot dog." Like, last night we were at dinner with Dan and Karen, and at the end of the dinner, Connie pushed back and she goes, "Man, that was a good fucking steak." And Dan and Karen didn't understand at the time, and they probably do now. So I'll forever think of Dustin when I overly enjoy the simple things in life. As we learned yesterday, the more traditional speech, admittedly, Dustin was a lot of things to a lot of people, and had an uncanny knack for being exactly what you needed in that moment. A doting husband, a premier physician and medical educator, the kind of leader you want for your soldiers, or just Colonel Pop-Pop if you have no idea what those other three things are. Earning praise and respect came so naturally to Dustin. As I was reading over all the posts, I realized how much regard everyone had for him. There are people that don't like me. There are people that don't respect me. Some of you may be in the crowd right now. But with 100% conviction, I cannot name a single person that didn't like or respect Dustin. And negative utterance about him, I never heard. A mentor, to say the least. I mean, the amount he taught everyone was unsurpassed. You've all heard him say, "Don't fight the workup. The workup is what the workup is." One of my first interactions with propofol, I administered it to a patient, the blood pressure dropped to a concerning level. I ran to Dustin, my staff at the time, and I said, "Hey, I just gave Bed 5 some propofol, and the blood pressure is dropping." And in his infinite wisdom and guidance, Dustin replied, "Yep. You're the doctor. You should do something about that." And he wouldn't let the patient suffer, but he wouldn't let me off the hook. And I learned more about self-reliance in that moment than I appreciated at the time. I'll never know what he did for me. I'll never know what he did for all of us. And we should all learn that lesson. You never know what impact you're having just by being you. We are all making an impact. Just make sure yours is positive. As you all know, Dustin hated clowns, which begs the question, why did he ever like me? Many of you have eventually accepted me for me. I would argue he did so without the initial judgment. I don't know why he favored my family. Sometimes I don't favor my family. But he was just so accepting that it was infuriating. How could you possibly like me more than I like me? But he did, and I don't know why that was taken away from us. Dustin taught me about inclusion and making people feel like they belong. On the very first day that he bought his Cybertruck, he asked me if I wanted to drive it. First, no. No one wants to drive a Cybertruck. They're hideous. Why would anyone voluntarily get behind the wheel of a microwave made with a refrigerator, but substantially uglier? But he was adamant, and I eventually gave in. So now, at Dustin's insistence, I too am included among the ranks of the Cybertruck driving douches. And having joined that illustrious group, I am now entitled to all the mockery forthwith. Not long thereafter, I stopped by one day and he was building his mailbox. He invited me to help, and that's it. You see, he knew I would desperately like to be included in this group called Men and do industrious projects. And that's what I remember. I wish it was more complicated, I do. But again, the simplicity of helping him build a mailbox will forever give me joy. I want to build my own mailbox one day, but it might be easier to steal that one if Sheila ever leaves. Sheila's departure from Toledo would break my heart, but I can still drive by that mailbox and smile. I'd like to relate one memory that will resonate with the Darnell community. It was second year of residency. Resident evals contained 2 questions to start. Question 1, did the resident show up on time to work? Of course I did. I'm never late. Question 2, did the resident come dressed appropriately to shift? Over 3 years, I received one and only one no, provided by Dr. Dustin Toffner. Why, you ask? It was because of this. For those that cannot see, that's an embroidered, not iron-on, Michael Jackson. Apparently, not everyone is a huge fan, and he considered it poor form to see patients. And the legend of my Michael Jackson scrubs was born. But he held the line and he made me change. But he did so with that grin of appreciation. You all just pictured that grin in your mind, and I hope that memory stays with you forever. I visited his gun room once. Gun room, I said, not gun safe. There are limits to the number of weapons that a rational person should possess. It was one of those, what are you afraid of? Absolutely nothing kind of moments. And I asked him about the apocalypse. He said if it happened, he was more than willing to loan us a few guns to, I don't know what to do some Walking Dead shit. Like, I have no idea. And that's not the point. The point is that he was irrational and would do whatever my family needed. He would do whatever his family needed. He would do whatever his patients and his soldiers needed. A true servant through and through. All right, this story doesn't convey anything other than he was a sneaky bastard from time to time. He wanted me to ride in his deuce and a half. At least, I think that's what it was. I actually don't know, Army. He thought I did, but he was wrong. He said, I finally got it running. Do you want to go for a ride? The answer, of course, was no, but I still got in, like an idiot. He proceeded to drive around Mill Creek, across the single-lane bridge, made some weird circles, and headed back. We get back to his house, and he nonchalantly informs me that the damn thing doesn't have any brakes. I didn't notice that we never stopped. He just took his foot off the gas and casually coasted, driving in circles around a parking lot, buying time until there was no one coming back across the one-lane bridge. What I wouldn't give to go for a ride in a brakeless deuce and a half with my friend again. While I cannot help feel bad for Sheila and all those close to him, it's not nearly as much as I feel bad for those that never knew him. Think of the billions of unfortunate souls that didn't have the privilege of even talking with Dustin, much less benefiting from all that he was and is. I truly pity them. To borrow a quote from Shawshank Redemption, some birds aren't meant to be around forever. Their feathers are just too bright. And when they fly away, the place that you live in is that much more drab and empty that they're gone. I guess I just missed my friend. Almost there. So Dustin, as much as I fundamentally and philosophically disagree with everything that happened 2 weeks ago, per your explicit guidance, I won't fight the workup. In summary, I've dropped a couple F-bombs, called us both douches, and threatened to steal your property. I doubt I get more eulogy invites, and I'm fine with that. I never earned the right to give yours. I don't know what Heaven's Beef Pack serves for lunch today, but I can only guess that for you, and for you alone, they're whipping up a good fucking sandwich.